What's cracking, yo? Welcome back to Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's up? What's up? This video here is me being genuinely curious and inquiring about some information because I do not know, and a lot of the content out there doesn't necessarily address this. Even if it's something to be addressed, I don't know. Maybe it didn't exist, and to what degree. In the 80s, specifically, I'm talking Larry Bird and Magic Johnson here, as they were the two big guns in the 80s. Were they scrutinized and criticized to the level of some of these players, household names, that we've seen in the past or even in today's league when they fell short of winning a championship, right? For example, just say Kobe Bryant. Even after he won 3 championships with Shaquille O'Neal, they treated him as if those championships didn't mean anything. Even though, despite what people like to believe, Kobe carried a heavy load just like Shaq did. More so in the last 2 championships in a three-peat. But after him and Shaq separated, even though this guy's a 3-time champion, they didn't believe in him, despite how amazing of a player he was. And they're basically saying your championships don't count. You got to win one without Shaq. You got to win one without Shaq. That's just one example. Or we can take, for another example, LeBron James. Every time this guy fails to win a championship, he's heavily scrutinized. Sometimes, rightfully so, but it's a consistent thing. Every playoff series LeBron James fails at, he's heavily scrutinized and heavily criticized for various different reasons involved in falling short. I also look at Michael Jordan. Before Mike started winning championships, every time he would fall short, he was scrutinized and pretty heavily criticized. Even today, I hear the same criticisms about Mike's failures to win a championship in the 80s. These are just some examples. And even some of the players now that are still playing today. Kevin Durant, for example. A lot of people treat his 2 championships like they don't exist. They treat Kevin Durant as if he has no championships and he still has to prove himself. After Steph Curry was a 3-time champion, because he didn't win Finals MVP the first go around, and they had Kevin Durant, who was the Finals MVP twice during the second and third Warriors championship, people were like, we got to see you carry the load and win Finals MVP without Kevin Durant, Steph. I'm not here to debate whether these players didn't or did deserve the scrutiny and the criticism. I'm not debating that. I'm not. Because certain scenarios, they absolutely deserved it. Maybe other ones, maybe not quite as much or as much as they got. Sometimes players bring it on themselves with a bunch of other stuff that's involved. But I'm not here to debate that. Not at all. I do understand, especially nowadays, and as time progresses, so does technology. Whereas back in the day, there weren't as many outlets for us to consume this criticism and put out this criticism ourselves. It's a totally different world we live in now. So I do take that into consideration. Tabloids, Newspapers, radio, recorded shows, sports shows were how it was back in the day. I understand that. It was all barbershop talk, right? There was no data trace for information, right? But that's why I'm asking you guys, the people that watch Larry Bird and watch Magic Johnson play, whether they were your favorite players or not, I don't care. You were around to experience basketball in that time. Whenever Bird failed to win a championship, based on the media and what it was back then, was he scrutinized and heavily criticized the years he didn't win a championship. And I understand he won his first championship his sophomore year. But those years where he didn't win it, did he get scrutinized and criticized heavily? And the same for Magic Johnson. Was there ever a point where somebody was like, Bird, I got to see you win it without McHale? Was there ever a point where there was like, Magic, I got to see you win it without Kareem? For context, Bird played 13 seasons, right? And we all know about the history of Larry Bird's injuries and his bad back. But Bird played 13 seasons. One of those seasons, he played 6 games. So just putting things into context. His last season, he played 45 games. He won championships in the 80-81 season, 83-84 season, and 85-86 season. That's 80-81, so it would be the 81 finals, the 84 finals, the 86 finals. Magic Johnson also played 13 seasons. One season he played 37 games, and in his last season he played 32 games. He won championships in the 79-80 season, the 81-82 season, the 84-85 season, the 86-87 season, and the 87-88 season. Now it's important to note, one of these guys, at least one of these guys, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, with their team, were the representatives in the NBA Finals for the entire 80s decade. If both of them weren't in it, at least one of them were representing their conference in the finals. They met 3 times, with Magic Johnson and the Lakers winning twice. Okay? Magic Johnson played in 8 of the NBA Finals series in that decade. 8. He was present for 8 of them. Losing in the first round once, and the Western Conference Finals once, and the West Semis once. Larry Bird played in 5 of the series of the decade. Lost in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times, lost in the East Semis once, and lost in the first round twice. Also an important thing to note is that Bird, that year they lost in the first round, was the 88-89 playoffs. Bird did not play in that series because of injury. So I'll give you all that information for context. And it seems like, especially Magic Johnson, even when he didn't make the finals, and he made it there 8 times, he had a long run just missing the finals. Just missing them. I only lost in the first round once. Impressive. And when Bird did play, he only lost in the first round once. Same for him. More or less lengthy runs. Each one had a second round exit. But I just put that out there to help with the conversation, to see what their involvement was. Every time these guys lost, anytime one of them failed to win a championship, were they heavily scrutinized and heavily criticized to the degree we see now? All things in the context. their era, what was available, the media wise, things like that. I'm genuinely curious because even to this day, I don't hear anybody talk badly about Magic Johnson or Larry Bird in the series or in the seasons where they did not win a championship. I don't hear anybody saying, "Oh, Magic failed to get it done. Da 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 da. Larry failed to get it done. Oh, he was each of them. Magic had bad playoff series. Larry Bird had bad playoff series. I've heard both of them talk about it, and it's normal. Every player has bad playoff series. I mean, everybody's human. They seem superhuman most of the time, but sometimes they come back down to earth. Well, them down to earth is them being superhuman. Realistically, they just had a pitfall, stepped in a bear trap. I don't know, but yeah, I'm curious. And this is me just being curious. I'm not here to talk crap about him or looking for people to talk crap about him. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm just curious what the level of scrutiny and criticism was for these two in their era when one of them did not win the championship. That's genuinely why I'm asking. My mind floats and I think of all kinds of things, especially things I don't know. Truly. I know about like the Tragic Johnson thing. I know about the Tragic Johnson episode. And that kind of stuck with him for a little bit. And whenever he had a bad game, people call him Tragic Johnson. I know about that. But outside of that, I haven't really heard much. Or even hear people speak about it much. But like I said, I'm curious. Let me know. I'll stop talking. The floor is y'all. The floor is all y'all's. Let me know in the comment section how you remember it. When you were a fan of basketball. Well, not saying you aren't now, but when you were witnessing all this stuff happen in the 80s as a fan of basketball, a fan of the Lakers, a fan of the Celtics, whatever. I want to hear your perspective, truly, because I'm curious. And I can't find any information that answers my questions. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, please comment. Let me know, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. We out, baby.